Well, spent most of October hunting elk and deer. Had some good success there, but I did sneak out fishing just this last weekend. I do have a couple of the videos I'm working on, but I'll jump into it here. We got took my sage out, Carp On The Fly, 12 feet of leader, 4 feet of tippet. I shortened it when it got windy. This was the fly I was using, Subsurface. It's just a little backstabber with a hot pink butt and a poly wing caddis. I like the polywing stuff because it floats really well. We get a little bit floating on it. It floats really well. So found a couple that were tailing here. I'm hiding back behind this point here and kind of waiting for them to cross this shallow. You actually see some out to the right to me here too. And there was a lot of carp moving, but this time of year it's really hard to see them. And so I try to find areas that give me that lighter bottom. So I watched this guy come across it. Did a really traditional drag and drop. I couldn't see my fly. In the summertime, fishing this kind of water, I can actually see those eats. This time, there's just not enough light. So I was watching for the movement. He raced over and ate it. And these are smaller fish here. I don't think I've ever broke 10 pounds at this location. I probably didn't even break 5. I might have broke 5. I've got 5 to 6 pounds this trip, but 7-pounders here are usually pretty dang good. Most of these were 2 to 4 pounds, but they fought really hard. All right, so this was a pod that's feeding here. Put it out in front of them, not very far. Sometimes when you put it right in front of them, it'll scare them. Actually, watch him. Comes down right in front of him there. He eats something right next to it, turns back around, and comes around and eats it. So carp don't always do that. A lot of times if you put it in line with them, sometimes I'll leave it out in the seam that they're feeding. I'm gonna let it float for a while, and you'll see that in some of these videos. But on that one, it went out of his way to eat it. This next sequence is pretty sweet. I've got several of them that are rising right along the edge over here. I can see them occasionally coming up and eating. I have no idea how many over there. I could see that there was probably 2 or 3. When you look back at this and you see how many are in there, it's pretty crazy. And this is one where I kind of just threw it over, tried to land it softly in the general area where they were all rising. And a lot of times that'll spook them, but that one turned right around on it and ate it. And then you see when he takes off, it just spooks the entire school. Pretty cool when they're acting like this. Usually I see this in the later part of the year. I've said before, I don't fully understand exactly why, but anyway, little guy, but awesome fight and a cool sequence. All right, for this one, there's a great big back eddy, and these fish were kind of circling through it, so they would kind of show up and disappear, eat a little bit, move around, and it was just kind of rotating through this. So I was kind of positioned on the edge of it. The back eddy is actually on the far side of where I'm standing here. And then I would wait for them to come through, try to lead them a bit. These ones were definitely spooky, so if I landed the fly line close to them, typically, they weren't going to hit. So you can see where I landed it here. And then you'll see the fish come here just a second, and then he comes over and he eats. I think it was some kind of seed pod, and then he ate my little caddis. They're not typically too picky when they're rising. If they think it's a food source, a lot of times they will eat it. These guys were spooking pretty quickly if they felt the line or anything like that. And anyway, this one, pretty good little run. This was probably, I don't know, this is definitely not a better fish, but maybe in the 2.5 to 3 pound range. And again, none of these are really big. This is another one where this guy's feeding subsurface, and my favorite way to target these guys. So you can kind of see it tailing there, little clouds of mud coming out as it's picking stuff up off the bottom. Again, kind of a shallower area, waiting for them to come up in on that shallower, lighter area. Cast out for the drag and drop here, and then it charged probably a good 2.5 feet, which is pretty aggressive to come get the fly. I think these guys are more aggressive like this in the wintertime, but because of the light conditions, they also can see so much better. It's just hard. They're very spooky. So That's why I'm so far back from the corner on that one, trying to lay it out there without it being able to see me, using the natural cover that was in place around that corner. Another smaller fish, but honestly, this time of year, I'm not going to complain with any fish. Any fish is a good fish. And these guys all fought super hard. So there's a whole pod that kind of rotated through here. And you can see they're kind of, when they get like this, they can get kind of dumb, right? Like all predators when they're fighting over a food source. So you can see how close I put that one, and then he immediately eats it. Usually when there's a bunch together like that, you can definitely cast closer because there's a competition element to it. So threw it out there to him. He came up and ate it, and a couple good runs. And this is probably one of the better ones I caught. I still don't know that it broke 5 pounds, but it was a pretty good fish. And then I actually didn't get a picture of it. I dropped him as I was trying to set up my camera, so no picture. Probably the only one that was really worth getting a picture of. So on this one, kind of a cool spot. I could see on the light sand over here occasionally the fish move, but for the most part I was just trying to see where they were eating, guess which direction they were going, and then lead them. I didn't know there was near as many over here again. Occasionally I'd see a fish or two move through, but there's a lot more over here than I thought. And then, yeah, there you go. That one eats it, and good little run. And every one of these fought hard. These guys have busted my 10-pound fluoro before. If you're careful and you don't let them wrap around anything, they're not going to break it. But yeah, if you just try to hold them, they'll bust it. I mean, and these are not big fish, right? 2 pounds maybe. But man, they sure fight hard. And they're just a lot of fun on a fly rod. In this section, there was there's probably 20 fish in here occasionally rising. You see how aggressively that one came up and hit? Basically what and I couldn't see near as well as we can see from down here, right? Light conditions getting later in the evening. They're bad this time of year anyway. I was waiting for times like that when there was one I could see that was near the surface, and I was like, all right, I got to get it out in front of it, foot, and then hopefully I don't spook it and it'll still eat. And so that's what happened there, and I was rewarded with a decent little fish. Again, nothing big here. All right, this was an area where the water really opens up. It's really shallow. It's cool because you can actually see them moving through it pretty good. These guys were kind of tumbling around in the shallows, kind of looked like spawning behavior, but I'm fairly certain it was just they were chasing little bait, little bugs up into the shallows. Occasionally a bass would come crashing through as well. And I think they were chasing the same kind of things. And so I ended up getting that one there, threw it into where they were kind of crashing, and it immediately ate. These ones were kind of coming through fairly deep. And I was just kind of waiting for when I thought they would rise. And what's funny is I just put it out there. You'll see all of those fish out there. This was probably a 20-second sequence there that I sped up. I mean, there was a ton out there. As it got further out there, this pod kind of went deep to shallow, deep to shallow. And I just let it sit there until eventually one came into that area. That's not typically something I really like to do, but I was struggling getting them to eat. So at this time, getting later in the evening, searching for areas where they were eating. This one I just caught the tail end of. That was an eat, and then it took it. And then this is the last one, kind of in that big shallow area. I don't know, just for me, kind of cool to see the whole setting here. I really love this place. It's amazing how gray it looks this time of year in the sun. Summer with the sun on it and everything, it actually looks pretty white. But this time of year, there's just not enough light. This is getting pretty late in the evening. But it was a good way to end the day. I had Warren over there eating, cruising around. I could kind of see him chasing stuff around. And then he finally found my presentation. He got off, but it was a fun way to end the evening, and just beautiful. So I hope you guys liked it. I know it's been a while. I got a bunch of other videos that I just haven't had time to edit from fall fishing, but I will get them out, and appreciate it. And yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.